Let's check our love compatibility. Square brings the most passionate lovers. Moon and the sun shows us how we can be as husband and wife.
Finally. Oh my. First of all, I want to thank you for making the time to join me today and talk about this very interesting and spicy topic. I love to talk. I love synastry. I love everything about relationships and relating with others. So thank you very much for your time. For everybody who doesn't follow Jackie, she has great astrology content in English and in Serbian. You can understand on another language. So I love that as well. Thank you so much for that. Doing it bilingually, it's not easy. I can only imagine how hard it is. So thank you for doing that. So this is the introduction. Tell us first, what is synastry in astrology?
Synastry is a comparison of two natal charts. That is the way that we can see how do we match with the other side. No matter is it a love partnership, business partnership, friendship. For me, it's always good to know how I match the other person. Personally, when I feel somebody's energy, instantly I can know what kind of aspects we have between us and what kind of planets connect us. So with synastry, let's start from a love relationship because that is the most popular subject. My clients, my friends, myself. First of all, let's check our love compatibility. So when you want to check someone, first of all, you should check your own natal chart because no matter who is person that you're dealing with, your natal chart is showing your life path, what your soul has had been chosen. And we can change some things, we can accept some things, but most of the things we're just going through our transformation and life path. So, first of all, we should always start from our natal chart and positions in our natal chart. If we're talking about a love partnership, what I'm going to add also, business partnership, we're all going to have to check our seventh house, ruler of the seventh house, our Venus. Where is our Venus? So, if our Venus is in Aquarius, that's going to say that we are more open for different kind of marriages, open relationship. Maybe that we prefer our freedom than some classic.
Yes. And I feel it's important that you are friends before everything. You need to feel like you guys are friends with Aquarius.
I am saying about Venus is in Aquarius because my Venus, the ruler of seventh house, is in Aquarius. So for me, when I just get introduced to someone who I can potentially like, I need to feel the friendship bond. I need to know that that person understands me, accepts me as I am. Because with Aquarius is always you have to accept what you have there. The package is done. Aquarius is the fixed sign, unchangeable, so it is what it is. With persons who have Venus in Cancer, we cannot say that. We can say that those are very...
That's me. I feel that I sometimes smother people, I really like to nurture everybody, especially the relationship. Like, okay, I do this for you. I will make you dinner. I will make you lunch, kind of like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So, as you can see, the differences between the people are the one that are being represented by the planets, and that is planet Venus. Venus is planet of love and planet of satisfaction. It's also ruler of partnership, of love relationships. So we need to check when we talk with another person or we want to check the other's horoscope, we need to know where is the Venus.
It's desires. It's our desires and passions, right? So, wow.
If we have Venus in the same sign, air sign or earth sign or fire or water, we're going to have a better understanding with that person. Yes. We're going to want it to have the same type of satisfaction of life, of giving love, receiving love. That's very important.
So do you look at Venus and Mars? Like it's one's Venus is compatible with other person's Mars. Yes. Do you find that important?
I think that's very important. Venus represents female energy, let's say like that. Let's say female sexual energy, and Mars represents male sexual energy. So if we want the chemistry to start to work out, then we need to check the aspects between the Mars and Venus. In my point of view, the first thing is Venus. Are our Venus compatible? Do we understand each other? Do we like to enjoy in the same things? Because if somebody likes diving, another person like reading the books, and that doesn't go well together.
Mhm.
The second thing, what I like to check, Mars and Venus. I think the sexual energy and the chemistry is very important. Everything starts from there. And if there is any aspect between them, it's good. I think that the best option is to have aspect, and not the best option is to not have any aspect.
Yes.
What's gonna create the energy? We need to have some tension between us.
So you feel it's better to have a square or opposition than nothing at all. Okay, I agree with you.
I think the square brings the most passionate lovers. Where there's a square, yes, there's a lot of fightings. There is a lot of confrontations. There is a jealousy. Probably depends from the position of the planets. If we have Mars in Aquarius and Venus in Scorpio, we can say 100% that the person with Venus in Scorpio is going to be super jealous. And the Mars Aquarius is going to be like, what is going on with you?
Yeah. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm just free. I'm just living life. Life is beautiful. I'll go around. So the same, I can say the opposite. Venus in Aquarius, Mars in Scorpio, the same things. But if you want to have a passion for life, if you care about sexual side of your life, then you must have a square between the partners.
For a sexual relationship, let's say, it's important Mars and Venus because some people like to have flings. Just it is what it is, to be honest. But for a long-term relationship, do you feel that moons need to be compatible more than Venus and Mars? Or no?
Absolutely. So
Different.
we want to check that person, like what's going on there. Is it gonna be some emotions, or how this gonna work? How long the emotions gonna last? Then we need to check the moon, because Mars and Venus shows us the chemistry between the planets, but the moon and the sun shows us how we can be as husband and wife. If our moon sees themselves, which means, do we have any aspect between our moon positions? That means that our love can last, emotions can develop, or the emotions can be also destructible for us. If we have a moon in Scorpio, which is very hard to have a moon in Scorpio, and then let's say moon in Aquarius, those are two very hard aspects. I'm also talking about, let's say, karmic part of our lives. Moons are very connected to our past life as well. So we must say that we're gonna know that we know that person, and we're gonna know we're gonna feel, have we been hurted by that person? What kind of feeling follows us? Is it some negativity or some anxiety or some fear? We're gonna know by the position of our moon. Also, the sun plays a significant role, because if we have sun, more dominant sun in a female horoscope than in a male's horoscope, also it can be an issue with ego. Some that our awareness about ourselves, and also its ego, it's ruler of iron. So we need to make sure that none of our planets are triggering somebody else's sun, because then we can have an issue with somebody else's ego, and we know how it's hard for humans to control ego, to bring ego in balance, as well as our emotions.
Especially as you mentioned, the fixed signs, where it's harder than mutable, right? So Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus, and Leos have extra problem.
Yes.
If they're not compatible, right?
Yes. Yeah. I can say from my personal experience, having Venus in Aquarius, having Mars in Taurus, being Aquarius by myself, it's very hard. I don't think it's possible that fixed sign can be changed. Yes, I can become aware of my characteristics, of my behavior, but I cannot change my nature. I just
you can,
or it's like that, or there is nothing.
So I find for fixed signs, they will embrace change on their own terms when they're ready. You cannot put the change on them. No way. Yeah.
And what's significant also with fixed signs, especially Scorpio and Aquarius, for these two signs, they need time to get mature, because Scorpio is ruling the 8th house, Aquarius ruling 10, 11. That's almost towards the end of the life of a human. So with everything is so special, because they need time to mature, to understand the pain and to accept it. I think that the fixed sign, the hardest thing what I have is accepting of something that cannot be changed.
Yeah, but cardinal is not easy as well because they both want to be first. Like I'm going to do it. No, I'm going to. My kind of a. They're like, no, I'm doing it. Kind of a energy. So that's also hard, right?
Yes, like cardinal sign, something completely different. You
Yeah.
can say, oh, Libra is the cardinal sign. Oh, we're gonna do so lightly with Libra.
No.
People would make a big mistake because my very good friend said that the Libra is a stainless hand in a white glove, actually violet glove, she said. And that is absolutely true. What is also tricky about cardinal signs is when they snap, when it's enough with the cardinal sign, they just snap one morning and then the whole story is over. So there is like difficulties and pushing each other to accept something like fixed sign. But with cardinal sign just wakes up one day, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and or Capricorn even. And when they bring the line that they cannot cross with, then it's over. I think these things are the most easiest for the mutable signs, Sagittarius, Gemini, because they can adapt, they can change. Virgo especially. I love Virgos. Virgo is a human sign. Virgo can understand everything. What is hard for Virgo is to deal with their own expectations, their own predictions.
They're hard on themselves. I think that they're hardest for them on themselves. Very self-critical, very want to perfect themselves. So it's very hard. Yeah.
And I noticed Virgo, they would like to predict how everything is gonna go, and let's put the things what we think is the best. And let's go that way because our way is the best. That is for sure. The social intelligence is giving them that sign or that path, that verification that they know how to make things right. And let's just follow the path of a Virgo. I mean, I love Virgos. I love their path, but sometimes it just doesn't work, especially if you're Pisces. And I know. Venus in Pisces and Venus in Virgo are two different. If you have Venus in Pisces and you have a partner or even a friend who is the Venus in Virgo or even a business partner, I don't think that you can last for long because Venus in Virgo talks about one side of the life, about practical side of the life.
Yes.
Practically how we're going to enjoy our life. Practically how we're going to do our business. And Venus in Pisces, it's all about romance. It's about having pink eyeglasses
and fantasy, like everything's like a movie. And then Virgo is like, what movie? We have to do this.
Exactly.
I think oppositions are hard. I find oppositions the hardest in synastry, not squares. I think oppositions are the hardest aspects. In with squares you kind of work it out somehow, even with fighting, as you said, but you work it out. In opposition, it's like you don't find middle ground, which is hard.
I have learned that partners who are in a relationship to have opposition between their Venus or Mars is the hardest relationship because each person pulls on their own side and it's so hard for them to find a compromise. Usually those are people, in 99%, those are people who have a lot of opposition aspects in their natal chart. They are not the persons who are willing to see the other side needs and to accept the other side needs.
Yeah, because it's hard. Yeah. And they don't know how to do it with themselves, by themselves. Exactly. So that's why,
And those are relationships, believe it or not, even marriages that are so hard to break because they keep going from new circle to new circle, torturing each other until they learn that the only happiness if we are both happy and we find in the middle. Our both sides needs to be satisfied because there is no love, there is no enjoying if both of us are not on the same page in the middle. That is the biggest challenge that I've seen, especially in the marriages with opposition, having a hard time to go over some subjects, to go over difficulties. But again, then in those cases, we need to check how our love planets are dealing with the hard planets, maleficent planets, life.
Yeah, so when you mention this, what about Saturn? Because Saturn is like a long-term commitment, so it's actually good for if you want to have but but still it's hard. So which aspects do you find from your experience to be hard with Saturn in a relationship?
Honestly, whenever first thing when I open natal chart, I look at Saturn and Moon,
Uh-huh.
Saturn and Sun, and where is Saturn's position in in natal chart? When I have seen Saturn making square with Moon, it happened that the person who is owner of the Saturn planet is just giving a cold shower to the person who has the Moon in that relationship in square with the Saturn. So Saturn can bring a relationship long lasting, but still gives some coldness because Saturn is not planet of love. There isn't anything warm. It's not personal planet. It's a planet that talks about responsibilities that we need to go through. Again, Saturn rules with time, with also part of our karma. So we need to know when someone Saturn is dealing with our personal planets, like
Yeah.
Mercury, Sun. We need to know that that person had something to do with us in some previous lives, and that it can be tricky. We need to understand the Saturn's rules. Saturn brings rules into some relationship, some respect, and if we disrespect those rules, it's gonna bring 100% the cooling down on emotion.
So is it like even like a parent-child relationship in the love relationship?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, I have seen from even from some very close people to me when I was checking their synastries. When a woman has a Saturn, which gives a triangle or sextile to a man's moon, then usually it's parenting by the side of the wife because the husband who has the moon triangle with his wife Saturn is feeling his wife as a partner, as somebody who is there to give him life lessons. And usually, when Saturn is dominating somebody else's personal planet, especially the ruler of your natal chart, that means that that person is gonna bring you. It's gonna bring you big lessons in life. It's gonna teach you something. It can be also a teacher.
Yes.
Saturn is really significant. Saturn can give a stability to relationship. If Saturn is in a good sign like Libra, and the Venus is in Aquarius, so it's gonna bring a stable relationship with being in the same element. They're gonna be able to bring that air quality of relationship,
Okay.
partnership, understanding each other, understanding of ideas.
Oh, do you feel that angles are also important? Touching the angles, like somebody's sound is touching your angle or
Absolutely. So before we check somebody's natal chart we need to see what's going on with our angles. Angles are first, seventh, fourth, and 10th house. First and 10th house are usually representing us and showing us, and the fourth house and the seventh house are showing relationship with others. Seventh house specifically, it's direct opposite out of us, so everyone in front of us, and fourth house is giving us those more deeper and more meaningful relationship for us. So we need to know, first of all, is the person that the person that we are meeting has important meaning in our natal chart. Have we found that person in our natal chart?
Yes, I like that.
Yes. So if we have, okay, great. Then we are checking descendant. And descendant is the seventh house, as I said, ruling with everybody in, opposite of us, ruling the marriage, partner, relationship, even public enemies. So we need to check our ruler of seventh house and the personal planets also of the person that we are checking. If we have some light aspects like triangle or sextile, everything is going to go easy with easiness. But if we have some hard aspects like square, having square with descendant and let's say Uranus is going to bring for sure divorce or end of that relationship with the person. For humans, it's so hard to accept the reality. That is what I figured out. Everybody are dreaming about the fairy tales.
Yeah, there's no perfect relationship. So everything, there's no perfect aspects like, oh, these are, like perfect. Not, no, no. So there's always, which is it's how you grow as a couple as well, right? You learn from each other, right?
Our soul has chosen already. When we look at somebody's natal chart, we already can see what the soul chose. The ruler of the seventh house, ruler of the fourth house are showing us what kind of relationship, emotional relationship, what relationship we're going to have. And we cannot run away from our own horoscope. Those are the parts that our soul wants to finish in this life. And we're going to go through that willingly or not willingly. We're going to attract the people who are matching into our horoscope. And I always say to my clients when they ask me something, oh, well, is it good? Is that good? Well, I'm saying, but this is your natal chart. This is your
Yes.
and wherever we see there, it's going to be beneficial, good for you. What's
Yes.
task is even from the bad. I mean, there is no bad or good for me. There is only life, and there is no.
I agree completely. Yeah. I completely agree. So when you mentioned all this perfect people wanting perfect, so many people believe in karmic relationship. Like how they call it, the twin flames, soul flames. What is your opinion on that?
Karmic relationship. I love that section of astrology. When we have a connection with somebody's personal planet, like two moons having connection, that shows us that we are again with that person, actually the soul of that person, and that we are going through some life experience again with that person. Usually, when the sun and the moon are making connection, very intensive aspect, perfectly exact connection, which means that the same that the planets are on the same degree of the same sign, it shows us that that person is going to be very significant in our life as a partner, business partner, or love partner. Again, depends from the rulers of the planet.
Okay.
Together. But also, what I also check what's going on with Jupiter in that case, and what's going on with the north node and the south node.
Oh, absolutely. That's karmic. That's karmic connection. Okay.
And
yes.
Whenever I have seen, I can say even from my personal experience, that the person has connection with the north node or south node with somebody's horoscope, that shows that that person is part of our destiny. And there is absolutely no way that we can avoid that person, or that we're going to miss that person, or even that how it's going to end up. Well, the north nodes are going to show. If the north node is building aspect with Saturn, if it's bringing the square, definitely means and shows that the relationship is going to go until one point. Definitely shows it's going to be hard. Definitely shows that we have a big lesson to learn through that person's Saturn. That person is going to be our biggest life. If it's a north node, then we can say, yes, this is the lesson that I'm going in this life. This is my path. I'm just going to go clean it, just for myself, and get the best of the life. If the Saturn is connected to the south node, that means that we are still paying off the debt to that person. Also, we cannot avoid. We just have to do it. The same thing is if it's south node or north node with maybe moon or Venus or Mars,
or sun. Yeah, or sun.
Absolutely.
We have a question. Sorry, how you can recognize twin flame in Synastry?
Usually that's represent the connection between the moons is the number one significator.
Okay.
And the twin flames, I can say from a personal point of view that the twin flames are basically like yin yang. They're bringing to each other the left and right side, the dark and the light. And I have found that the love between twin flames are the most strongest love, the love that hurts. They both need to go through some life experience to build them, to rebirth them. And also what I can say is that if the twin flames are able to deal with their own task in this life, then we can say that their love is gonna last long. The reward when we get over very hard lessons, which usually twin flame brings, then the price for all our effort, commitment to love, and to our twin flame is gonna be easy.
That's
Actually,
amazing.
already
Yeah.
easy because when we meet twin flame, I guarantee that I met my twin flame. You can feel your whole body is showing you, your whole body is blinking, it's blasting, it's shining. You're super excited. You're so happy with that person. You already know that you know that person. And but the thing with the being human, we have to just go over our ego. Usually, twin flames, what I've seen from my experience, are having difficulties with ego or the patterns that they're bringing from their family. Twin flames are always having some very hard lessons, or it's some generation trauma, or it's some personal issue like having moon conjunction with Chiron, and then connect all
Firework.
with twin flames moon. That task is very big for the twin flame, which has Chiron, and the twin flame doesn't have Chiron there. So we see that our twin flame is hurted. We see the arrow in him. We feel that we're supposed to give him love or her love to heal it, and then to enjoy our fruits that we were raising all this time.
That's a good point. Yeah, good point.
Twin flame, my advice is there is no stronger love than a twin flame love, and there is no better understanding. You just feel that person. But first of all, going through lessons, getting with her, going through some depth, healing each other, and then when you're complete, you're like this tree, right? Strong and just growing and building.
Okay, and then on the other side, let's now mention the other side. What would be the red flags for you when you see somebody's synastry? Like, what would be the red flag for you?
Okay, when I want to check the red flags, then I check the Mars. I love Mars. Mars is an amazing planet. It's planet of action. It's planet of sex drive, of everything. So when I see somebody's Mars is in a, let's say, not so good position, maybe Mars in Cancer or Mars in Libra, making square with somebody's gentle moon, like moon in Cancer.
Yeah.
That's a very dangerous thing because the owner of the Mars, example in Libra, can hurt really in a deep level person who has moon in
Cancer.
So Mars is number one. Mars also making square or opposition or even conjunction with somebody's Sun can also bring a damage with somebody's Mercury. I have felt how it feels like when somebody is making square with my Mercury, and that is very hard because you're being hurted by somebody's action. Somebody is pulling the worst out of you, the worst words, the worst fightings, and you always end up hurted.
Yeah. But also, if you have to, as you said before, look at the natal chart. If a person has like Mars square Mercury in their natal chart, they're all going to be prone to discussions and fighting. It's their natal, so you have to understand their natal chart when you compare with yours as well, right? Because
absolutely, and the person who has stronger planet in a good position, in a good sign, is going to be, let's say, the winner of that fight. But it's the point that we have a life with fightings and constantly repeating the patterns. What I advise to my clients is that when I see some hard aspects, I mean, let's be real, everybody are having hard aspects in their life. You just see. But when I see hard aspects, I'm always trying to explain the client what is their part of responsibility and what is the responsibility of the partner. So it's never one person is being blamed. There's always a trigger and action and reaction. There is always action and reaction. So we need to be aware of our own planet. That's why I said at the beginning, we need to come back to our natal chart and say, hey,
absolutely,
these are my rulers. These are my characteristics. Let me be aware of myself. Let me control myself. And then if even other person starts some kind of fight or some tension, if we don't react, if we are above us.
Awareness is very, very important, especially in relationships, right? Being aware of yourself and the others. I also find that with my client work and stuff, very rarely do I see one person very dominant. I feel, in some areas, one person is dominating in this area and then the other is dominating, so, it's not always one, I can have like a Mars on your moon and then you can have Saturn on my sun. You know what I'm saying? So it's not always, oh, this one is hard. It's always kind of like, this person, right? It's a mix.
Exactly.
Right?
Life is not black or white. Life is a mix of the colors. Sometimes we do live our bad sides, the bad sides of our horoscope. Sometimes we live good sides, but I also share with you the same thing, that if we are not aware of ourselves and we just behave by the pattern, then what's the point of everything? When is the transformation there? I have met a lot of people dealing with the same things, like, oh, when this is going to stop, but why is he doing this to me? Or when she's going to call me, or when she's going to do this. I'm always trying to point the client that there is a responsibility in the both sides, because nobody has the perfect horoscope, but nobody sees themselves.
Yeah, and people who repeat, like they're going to the same type of relationships over and over. You have to learn the lesson, kind of like be aware of who you are, what is happening, and why it's happening to you, right? It's not, so there's a deeper level. Yeah, I look at Pluto. I'm more of a modern astrologer. I look at Pluto because Pluto is very, if it's doing a bad aspects or something, it can be very, very hard, like, because it's control and manipulation and stuff like that. So it can be very hard if it's not a good aspect in a relationship. Yeah.
I agree with you for the Pluton. I support both of the astrology, the traditional and the modern, because there is a truth everywhere.
Me too. Yeah. And I look both rulerships, for example, when I look at chart. I look both. Yeah.
Pluton is part of the karmic astrology. It shows us where is our transformation, what do we have to do, and also shows us that it's gonna be, let's say, painful, which people doesn't like that word. For some persons, if it's a square, it's gonna be super painful. If it's triangle or maybe sextile, it's gonna be less. But still, every transformation, when there is the Pluton, it's gonna be transformation. There is no transformation that is easy, because that means that we literally need to change from one pattern to completely different pattern.
I'm going to give you an example of my chart, just for people to understand how it works. So I have natally Pluto square Venus. Okay, it's hard. So people will say, "Oh my God, this person who's going to be in a relationship with her?" You know, say like, it's like a hard aspect. Just when somebody sees the chart, who's going to be with her? She's controlling. She's like the manipulating, blah blah blah. But I'm aware of that. So I understand, and bringing the awareness of my child, working on myself, on how to deal with that aspect. I'm bringing that to my relationship. That's kind of what I'm trying to say to people, that you have to kind of work on yourself to understand yourself.
And then we are gonna say again, before we check somebody's natal chart with ours, we need to be aware of our natal chart. I
Absolutely
have a Venus square Pluto. Venus is my ruler. Venus rules my seventh house. But I know that I have Mars square Venus. Mars is my ruler. So I know that I'm causing a lot of dramas, a lot of love dramas, and a lot of dynamics. But I am also aware that my partner is bringing with square of Pluton and Venus. And I'm very aware of that. And I'm just, whenever I see that, I'm trying to stop it with common sense. I'm turning on the common sense. I just remember where's the person's Mercury, and I'm trying to talk in the way that the person can understand me. Because also in relationship, it's very important that we talk, that we communicate about our needs. So if I see that somebody has a Mercury in Cancer and other person having Mercury in Aries, I know it's going to be a lot of discussions, a lot of confrontations. And I know that the person with Mercury in Aries is going to be more dominant over a person that has a Mercury in Cancer. Mercury in Cancer is going to keep their emotions and the words more in them, express them through the moon, through the position of the moon. And the person with the Mercury in Aries is going to stay right away, direct, straightforward in the face. without even thinking how the other person will feel. And that's
Yes, that's fine.
destroy a person with the Mercury in the Cancer is going to be destroyed. 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. So we need to really be aware of ourselves if we want that some relationship function. What I also have seen is that when the clients are complaining, as you said a little bit ago, why is this happening to me all the time? Why my relationships are ending up this or that way? Then I'm checking Venus, and I call it colors of the Venus. What kind of aspect your Venus is have, and the ruler of the seventh field. Let's also add that. And if I see that somebody's Venus has square, opposition, conjunction with Uranus, then I know that that person is a very free spirit. That person cannot be committed to the conservative way or seeing the marriage. That person needs to have open relationship, and that person has the urge to break every single pattern that somebody is trying to give it. Usually, when you see that somebody has Venus and Uranus in any aspect, that person 100% is attracting partners who are trying to give the pattern to it so the person can show their own dominance and their own aspect. So the owner of the horoscope can live Venus square Uranus. And it's going to be only possible if we attract the person who want to give us the pattern. Also, Uranus shows that the person might go through the divorces, through breakups, through getting in and out from the relationship quickly or maybe fast. That also depends from the aspect. But Uranus definitely brings a more modern view to the marriage.
Yeah, absolutely. I can confirm. I have tried Venus trine Uranus, very like just 3 degrees apart. I need my freedom.
Yes,
I need my freedom.
absolutely.
Absolutely. And if I feel like all this jealousy, possessiveness with any partners in the past, I forget it. I would end this very quickly. If I see I can't breathe. If you always are checking on me, like, oh no, I just can't. Like, it just for me doesn't work that. But I care. No. I need my freedom. So I can confirm that it's absolutely true. Yeah, you're in we need that freedom. Yeah.
I would like to add when somebody is saying, my partner is maybe hiding some things from me, or even if they're not partner, the person is checking another one. I'm always checking the Neptune. So Neptune is, nobody for the planet Neptune would give a special significance. But when I want to see if somebody likes to cover things or maybe to give false information, then I check the natal chart of that person, what kind of aspect Neptune is building with the personal planets. If we have Neptune square Mercury or conjunction Mercury, we're going to know that that person is a liar. It's a phony. It can lie you without blinking 2 times. Absolutely not. And that is sometimes for some persons okay to do.
No, yeah, I believe that. Yeah, from my experience, some people are just even delusioned about themselves. Like they do this on purpose. It's just they kind of convince themselves in their own world. That's kind of like that's why so. Yes, yes.
Also, Mars, what I mostly don't like is Neptune square Mars. That is the
Oh, yeah, that's the hard.
if you ever see a person having Mars square Neptune and the Mars is the ruler of the horoscope, we really need to know that the person is capable to being manipulative. And if that Neptune is bringing some aspects to our Moon, Mercury, Venus, or Mars, we must know that we're going to be seduced by the side of that person, but the same time, we can have the bitter part of that juiciness and the juicy part. It depends. Do you seduce my moon, or you're doing that to my sun? If somebody's Neptune is building square with my sun, then I'm gonna know that that person is capable to manipulate me, and which doesn't mean that's a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. It just I'm aware that you're capable manipulate me, and I'm just gonna pay my attention and my focus even more.
The natural placements, they can also show like kind of addictions, not just drug or alcohol, but also addictive to other people, in the relationships. So like, oh, I'm addicted to you. I have to be with you. Like all this nonsense. Like my Uranus can't stand that. Like, but it can happen. Yeah. You're with Neptune.
Right. If Neptune is bringing square with somebody's Venus, what I've seen once,
Oh, yeah.
that person is addicted to the other person. So the Venus just cannot live without Neptune. No matter is it a bad quality relationship or not, the way they live it's their choice at the end of the day. But that person who has Venus cannot live without that Neptune.
And they're not seeing clearly that person. So I definitely say they're not seeing them clearly. So, and then, people around that Venus person, oh, but look at, he's doing this. And no, but he's so good. You know how they're kind of like, no, but they don't want to admit it, right? So it's very hard to even understand because you kind of idolize them.
Yeah. Right? Especially if it's a then square, then we can be disappointed. Absolutely. But if it's some good aspect, why not? I mean, I like somebody suggests me with some nice, wonderful stories about life. That's amazing. We can enjoy that. We can then use our imagination and we can create life because Neptune is the higher octava of love and Venus is a little bit lower. Then Neptune shows us the strong spiritual bond that we have with another person if we have the positive aspect.
Yeah, it's one of those feelings like, oh, I think I know you forever, if it's a good aspect. But that's for the love relationships. But in a business relationship, do you think there's some difference that we need to look at something differently if we have a business partner?
So always when I check somebody's business partner or how I can be a business partner with someone, I think that if we have anxiety towards someone, that we cannot work with that person. That's number one. So I always check the moves. How do we see each other? Does the moon see each other? Do we have any aspect? And do we have some hard planet over somebody's mood? That is just a bad inner feeling, some negativity that just cannot connect us with that other person. But if we have a good aspect with the moon and some other planet, then we could have a good even partner business, like a Mercury. Mercury is most significant here because we are we're bringing communication before we bring a business, and even through the business, we need to communicate it very well.
Also contract. Sorry, it's also contract, right? Mercury is also contract, and that's it's important. Yeah.
Yes. So then the second thing is in the business, I'm checking the Mars, the ruler of the horoscope, both persons, how they match. Somebody's Mars is in a good aspect with somebody else's Mars, also ruler. That's gonna be amazing. That those two persons are going to feel that they're like in the same page and that they can cooperate very well. Usually that is when we have Mars or any other planet in the same element.
Yeah. That's important. Yeah.
That's very important. Also, it's good when we have, we need also to check, how our suns are, because sun is an ego. And we need to see in which position is each of the person's sun and who is more dominant there. And then you're giving advice to a client. I think that you should be more in charge to bringing decisions, and maybe the other partners should more bring up with some ideas or do the technical part or operational part if we are talking about the position of the Mars.
I'm just thinking about myself. I'm very mutable, but I have a Mars in Leo. So in business, like even in workplace, like I'm kind of like very proud of what I do, and it can show. Although I'm very mutable, I can agree. But if I want something, my ego can get very easily hurt, to be honest. In business,
if you have a partner having a Mars in Leo, and then you find a partner for business who has Sun in Leo in a conjunction with your Mars, then it's going to be power struggle. Who is going to be more dominant? And then we're going to see what are the other aspects of you both, so you can control your ego and be on the same page for the benefits of the business. It's very important. How do we need to check also the rulers of the 7th, 10th, and the 6th house.
Would you check the second house of money or no? Yes.
Absolutely. If we want to invest money with someone and by that way become a partners, it's very important that the rulers of the second house has a good
And
aspect. Yes.
and the eight. And the eight. The
Yes,
joint. Yeah.
absolutely. Somebody else's money, absolutely. So we need to check the rulers of the second house and the eighth house. How do we manage somebody else's money? What's going on with our money? Then to see the potential success, I always check with everything dispositor of the plan. Dispositor are showing us how everything is gonna end up at the end.
Okay, so for people who don't know what this positor is, can you just explain quickly what it is?
Positor is a planet that show us what is the end or what is the end of the story is gonna be for that person and that specific area or the house that we are checking. So example, if we have Venus, a ruler of the seventh field, I don't know, in Aquarius, but Saturn, the ruler of Aquarius, is in Capricorn, and let's say it's in the 10th house. It's strong, it's on the top of the chart. That shows that no matter what kind of transitions and what kind of dynamics somebody's partnership is gonna go, the end, what we're looking at is Saturn in Cancer. What kind of aspect Saturn will? And if the planet is in their own place, in their own sign, it shows us, okay, maybe we can have dynamic periods. It can be like cardinal. Maybe we can cut the things from time to time, to change the things from time to time. But at the end, we're going to end up good. But if we have, example, Venus in Sagittarius, and ruler Jupiter goes to Scorpio in, let's say, 8th house, making square with Mars in Virgo, that's going to be, we already see that potential relationship, business, or whatever, in that person's horoscope is not going to end up as good as we thought. Scorpio, maturity being, I'm going to say, metaphorically saying, rotten. And having Jupiter there, not good position, it's not good plan, and we cannot, in that case, we cannot have high expectations. That is the moment where we need to be realistic and say, hey, these are the things in my life. This is what my soul choose. I'm just gonna go through life and looking for the best.
And we go back to the natal chart because this is where everything begins and ends. That's how I feel with the natal chart. I know. It's been almost up in an hour talking. So
Yes.
this was,
And I still have a lot of things to
I
share.
know. But for the beginning, I think this was for introduction to Synastry. This was more. It was more than than expected. Thank you so much. Do you have any final thoughts for our followers?
So the final thought is, when you want to blame other person for your own personal issues, check your natal chart, check your Venus or Mars, depends, your moon. If you are not professionals and you don't have a lot of experience and knowledge, what can planet mean in which sign? Google it. Number one, so easy. Number two, call the
Book a reading. Book a reading. Many of us
exactly.
who are ready for you to guide you and help you, right?
Exactly. And just be aware of your stuff in every moment, who you are, what are you bringing into that relationship, what are your good sides and bad sides. And and it's the same thing, if we can see so easily a bad thing in another person, hey, then let's see good things too.
Getting to know ourselves, I think, is the hardest. And people tell me, but why? I know myself. Like, why do I need to read? Guys, trust me.
We only know that we see ourselves until we meet the twin flame, and then twin flame as the mirror showing us all the time who we are, showing our insecurities, good sides, bad sides, weaknesses. It's so simple. You just attract someone towards yourself, and the other person show you who you are.
Absolutely. Amazing. Thank you so much for this talk, Jackie. I loved it. Be kind to each other. I always say that, so be kind to each other no matter what. And if you need some help, reach out. There are many of us who want to guide you and help you. We can do it, right? We have the tools for it.
Absolutely. Especially with the persons who are having difficulties going through a relationship and feeling very strong and dominant love, like twin flame love. That love is something out of this planet. And I understand when the couples cannot live with each other because that love feeds them, but they cannot go over some difficulties. Really, then it's a good moment to advise with astrologists. At least one person always needs to be aware of something and just to try to implement the new knowledge, the new information that astrology is giving you in order that your love relationship or partner relationship brings success. Because there are a lot of partner relationship in the beginning, everything is good. Then, oh, look, you have some Saturn making square with your personal planet, which brings disconnection with the person all the time.
Yeah.
And what then? What to do with money? What to do with investment? What to do with the business? Then it's also a good moment to double check everything with your astrologist and to see what is the best possible way for you and for the other side to do so that things are right, the things are in balance.
Yeah, and we have transits and progressions and everything that we can look at. And there's a composite chart, which is another story. We can talk that. There's on about relationship.
So
So
many
many layers.
Yes,
Yeah.
so many
Yes.
layers in astrology. That's why we love astrology. And
Yes.
that's
Absolutely.
we follow the stars out of the astrology. That's our tool how to live better and quality life with each other.
Generally speaking, in the next year and a half, with the North and South Node in Aries and Libra, it's a very good time actually to reassess what your relationships and value system is. And if you have any issues or questions, I think this is the perfect opportunity next year and a half to actually work on that. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Especially persons who has ascendant rising in Aries or a person
Yes.
having had ascendant rising in Libra or Libra, Aries through 4th and 10th house. That's going to be
Yeah.
very
On the end.
exactly. It's going to be very important next 18 months for you because you're going to see the things are going to start to happen and you're going to be very clear with everything.
Yes, you will sense it. Thank you very much, Jackie. I appreciate it. I loved our chat. We should do another one for sure because I think we should talk about composite charts and have like a part two. I feel it's in the air.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the rest of your weekend. Bye.
Bye.